He was the man who struck the first blow against General Antonio Luna. And 30 years later, in a small wooden house in Kawit, he finally told his side. His name is Captain Pedro Janolino, the Kawit officer whose name is forever tied to the death of General Antonio Luna. In the town, people whisper that name. Some say he was the captain who struck the first blow against the general. Others wonder aloud whether Aguinaldo himself gave the order, or whether these men killed Luna on their own. To some, he was known as Pedro Castilla, once a proud officer of the Kawit battalion, once a loyal bodyguard of Emilio Aguinaldo, once a veteran of battles like Alapan, now simply an old soldier, living quietly in the town where he was born. The Kawit battalion was Aguinaldo's hometown guard, men of Cavite who fought for the revolution and protected the president. Captain Janolino led these men. Yet he is remembered less for his early battles, and more for a single moment, the day his men killed General Antonio Luna in Cabanatuan. Then one day a visitor comes, the writer Antonio K. Abad, who wants to hear from the man himself what truly happened in Cabanatuan on that bloody day, the 5th of June, 1899. He greets the old captain with quiet respect. Janolino answers with a tired smile, and Abad explains himself. A writer, come to record the old captain's memories about the death of General Luna. Many people, he says, are still asking the same questions. Who killed General Luna? Who gave the order? And Abad wants to hear the answer in Janolino's own words. The old man's voice turns reflective. He is a son of Kawit, he says, a soldier of the revolution, a man who served Emilio Aguinaldo and never his own name. And yet, in the end, every road in this conversation leads back to the one name that will never leave his story, Antonio Luna. Then comes the question itself. Abad asks it plainly. Who ordered you to kill General Luna? It is the question people have asked for decades. Was it Aguinaldo? Was it a conspiracy among the leaders? Or was it simply rage and fear exploding in a single terrible moment? After a long pause, the old captain gives his answer. No one ordered them to kill General Luna, he says, and he takes upon himself the whole responsibility for what happened. To understand that day, Abad first has to understand an older wound. Earlier that year, at the Second Battle of Caloocan, Luna had disarmed the Kawit battalion and humiliated Janolino for disobedience. He stripped the weapons from his men and shamed him in front of the others. From that day forward, there was bad blood between the two men. The sun was hot that day, he recalls. He and his men, soldiers of Kawit, were posted at the convent in Cabanatuan, the headquarters of President Aguinaldo. Word came that General Luna was on his way, and they knew he was furious with them. Furious with Janolino most of all. General Luna arrived, searching for the president, but Aguinaldo was no longer there. He climbed the stairs, his temper rising. He had already gone. And the general grew angry. Why had no one told him? Why had his time been wasted? Then a shot rang out somewhere outside. Suddenly, the general came back down, enraged, his revolver in his hand. And as Luna descended those stairs, Janolino remembers the fury in his face, and the general's demand. Who fired that shot? And here, the old man's voice begins to break. In that moment, he says, fear took hold of him. The general was beyond anger, and they all knew how Luna disciplined his men, how he punished them. Janolino remembered the general's old threats, that he could have the disobedient shot. He was afraid Luna would kill him and kill his men as well. And in the fear and confusion of that single instant, they struck first. His voice hardens, resigned now. This is the truth, he says. They killed the general first because they were afraid he would kill them. The responsibility is his. He will not tie the others to it. No one ordered him. On the violence itself, history speaks plainly, though not in detail. Once the attack began, the Kawit soldiers hacked and shot Luna again and again. He received more than 30 wounds from bullets and bolos, by some accounts, as many as 41. Witnesses remembered the general stumbling out into the plaza, still struggling to draw his revolver, crying out his last words, "Traitors, cowards, murderers," before he fell. His aide, General Paco Roman, was killed as well, and the killers were never punished. But in this story, we remain with the old man in Kawit, still trying to explain himself, to a writer's notebook, and to history. Then Abad presses further, quiet but direct. "Some say President Aguinaldo gave the order," he tells the captain. "What do you say to that?" The old man only shakes his head. He has already said it. No one ordered them, as far as he remembers. He alone will answer for what happened. And this is exactly where historians divide. Different testimonies and interpretations. And in the middle of all these debates stands Janolino's own version, that he struck first, and that he did it out of fear. And in the middle of all these debates stands Janolino's own version, that he struck first, and that he did it out of fear. By the late 1920s, Pedro Janolino was no longer a young officer. He was an aging veteran, still wearing his old revolutionary uniform, still loyal to the memory of Aguinaldo. He admitted that he had delivered the first blow against Luna. He insisted it was self-defense, and he claimed he had followed no one's order, at least not in his own telling. So who, in the end, was Captain Pedro Janolino? A Kawit officer, loyal to Emilio Aguinaldo, a soldier of Alapan, the leader of the president's own bodyguards, and the man remembered most for beginning the attack that killed General Antonio Luna in Cabanatuan on the 5th of June, 1899. History still debates whether Luna's death was a planned assassination, commanded from above, or a violent explosion of fear and anger in a single afternoon. But in one small house in Kawit, the old captain gives his own answer. He was the man who struck first, and he chose to carry that burden with him, all the way to his grave. But across the ocean, an American newspaper told a very different story.